Good morning. I actually filmed this video last weekend and I was watching the footage, and while it wasn't bad, I definitely am not comfortable in front of the camera yet, and so it kind of came off as a Stepford wife giving a tour of her pretty funky container garden, and it just didn't feel like me. So I'm refilming it today just to have a little more authenticity and a little more fun. I hope you enjoy it. I'm filming it mostly because I love all my plants and I want to share them with everybody. So I hope you enjoy it. If you do, like and subscribe. So we will just start here. Over here is where our patio door comes out. We actually just replaced this patio door with it's temporary, but it's so much better than the last one. The last one's tracks were degraded so much and we couldn't replace the tracks. It was an old style aluminum door, and they had degraded so much that you almost threw your knee out every time you were trying to open it because you had to wedge it with your leg. So now we have one that actually slides and we want to come out on the patio. And the first thing we encounter when we come out is this geranium organum. I absolutely love this plant. I also realized I have to say absolutely less. Absolutely is apparently my go-to word. I love this plant. It has these beautiful delicate purple flowers. I'll pop a picture up here on the screen to show you what they look like. And then next to it we have an angelica, a kudos gold agastache. I have a dwarf variety in the front of the house. Really pretty, smells divine. And then we have a coneflower, an echinacea coneflower, which also smells really good. And a lime coleus. The lime coleus is doing okay here. It's a little bit warm for it and it gets a little too much sun. So I'm looking for new areas. I'm kind of constantly moving it around to see where it will be happy. Moving on down the line, we have a white-edged princess lily, a scarlet spider monkey scarlet spider monkey flower. Let's see. Scarlet monkey flower. I'm adding the spider because we have a lot of spiders around here. A Joe Pye weed, bear's breeches, and then several little columbines that I got from a friend. They need to be trimmed up clearly, but they just need to go in the ground at some point next spring. They'll be a really pretty delicate flower and a pop of color that I just love. Then we have a planter that I planted up earlier this spring. It has some lobelia in it. It was really pretty. It's kind of at the end of its season. It's getting some brown flowers. I deadheaded the snapdragons that are in the center. I put in a yellow, a pink, like a crimson, and I think like a sunset orange into the center, and it was really pretty, but they're now all deadheaded. I'm hoping that we can have one more flush of blooms before the season ends, but that might not happen. Something really fun happened with the lobelia. Some of them turned purple just spontaneously, and I don't know what causes that. I wonder if it's like a hydrangea where it's a soil pH situation. Although if it was that, I would assume all of them would turn purple, so I don't know, but I love surprises like that. It was so much fun to just see it kind of turn into purple. Moving down, we have some Japanese rose that I'm trying to propagate, so those aren't very pretty, and I'm gonna leave those on the floor so you don't see them. I have some yarrow, and this has bloomed again. I deadheaded all of the heat damage. I got it in a plant fire sale basically when we were having 113-degree temperatures, and the nursery had to go out twice a night, I believe they said, and water to keep everything alive, and they just decided, oh my gosh, we can't keep up. We're gonna sell all these 1-gallon perennials for $1. And I got about 20 plants in that sale. I was late on the ball. I got there and people were leaving with hundreds of plants, and I got, you know, some of the last ones that were available, but I was still really happy, and this was one of them. And it did have some heat damage. You can still see some of it, but it's coming in really nicely, and I did get a flush of blooms for this season, which made me really excited. This is another yarrow that I got at that same sale. This one is still struggling a little bit, but I'm trying, and he is giving me new blooms on the new growth, so I'm pretty happy with where he's at, and I'm confident he'll survive and be pretty happy when he's in the ground next year. We are starting to get into the sun, so bear with me. The lighting might be a little funky, but I did want to share these plants because they make me so happy. We have a black and bloom salvia. I got that at the fire plant sale as well, and it is finally giving me some blooms, which is really exciting. It did have some damage, so I'm always really excited when I take a risk and it pays off. I don't know if you can see Sadie down here, but here she is. We then have a canna that was given to me by a friend, and it's done blooming for this season, but hummingbirds really love it. I almost said absolutely, but I didn't. Hummingbirds really love it, and I've had hummingbirds come up when I'm about this close to it, and they're eating from it, and it's so magical. I love it. So that is one of my favorite flowers. We then have some ground cover over here, and I don't know if you can start seeing these things. Let me move the camera. Then we have some various ground covers, a spirea, fuchsia. I forgot the name of it for a second. We have some fuchsia, some dusty miller, some lamb's ear. This fuchsia needs to be repotted. We have some more fuchsias, some wire hair grass, some sedums, and some variegated irises. So I'm excited. I haven't seen those bloom. Those again came from a friend, and I haven't seen them bloom yet, but I am really excited to see them because I love the foliage just on their own. So I can't wait to see that. All right, I'm going full Carmen Sandiego for this next part because the sun's just a little too much. Coming up, we have some coreopsis that I need to deadhead. It's a little bit neglected, but these flowers are so gorgeous. They're this vibrant yellow with this crimson center. It's almost a brick color. It's really beautiful. I also have more cone flowers. I needed to do some heat damage management on these as well, and they're finally bringing in some blooms. You can see this one over here is a beautiful yellow. Another one is this purple color. I really love the color variety within this family of flowers. Behind that we have some columbine, and we also have some Shasta daisies that are giving me another flush of blooms, and I'm very excited for that, and some more spirea. We then have some fig starts that we started this year. We have a fig bush over by a gate. It's in a really inconvenient location in terms of egress, so we will be removing that, and we wanted to maintain the figs, so we started some this year, and we've had about a half a dozen that came up out of those starts, so we'll be planting those in the ground next spring. We then have some calla lilies, some spirea, more calla lilies, a dahlia. I don't know what this is. This was given to me as a friend, and I actually have to ask her what this is, but it's pretty and it has these gorgeous flowers that the bees like, so I love it. Then we have some mint. This comes back every year. Anyone who's grown mint knows mint's pretty voracious in terms of survival and spreading. So I keep this in the container. We actually mainly use it for crushed frozen cherry mojitos, and that mint, that fresh mint flavor, just gives it this really fresh summery vibe. So delicious. We love it. So then we have some columbine, what I believe is a small lemon Meyer lemon seedling tree, some honeysuckle, 3 glory bowers. The friend who gave me the glory bowers, hers are gorgeous in her garden and just this beautiful structure, and I can't wait to see what they turn into when we stick them in the ground next spring. I'm really excited to see that. We then have a dahlia that was in theory supposed to be an annual, and it's come back for 4 years. I think it might just be an annual, or considered an annual, because of in colder climates the tubers are smaller. I think it's called a dahlia letty. I can't remember, but it's come back every single year for the last 4 years, and it's this really pretty magenta color, and I really like that. I clearly need to deadhead it. It's also been munched on this year by earwigs pretty aggressively, so I've been trying to manage that as well. Behind that is a large fuchsia, and then next to it I don't think you can see, so I'm going to move the camera. Behind me we have another dahlia. This one had some tuber rot earlier this spring, and I dug it out of the ground, took the tuber that was rotting off, and replanted it into a pot just to see if it would survive, and it did, but it didn't give me any blooms this year. So hopefully next year it's happier and it gives me some blooms. I also have a euphorbia, another fuchsia, a miller, mullein. Sorry, mullein. Another angelica and some lilies that were given to me at my bridal shower years ago and have bloomed back every single growing season since, and it's very special to me to have that history with them. It is so hot and muggy here. I am literally drenched in sweat, so I'm really hoping this footage is usable. Here we have some penstemon, another fire sale, more penstemon behind it, a canna that, this is my first year growing cannas, and apparently they like less water. So this one has suffered slightly. You can see some of the water damage on the tips, but it hasn't died. So next year when it comes back, I'll know. I also have another angelica, and then behind me I have a purple penstemon, a purple agastache, another canna, and then another red or pink, it's red, it's a crimson penstemon as well. And then I have a Meyer lemon tree. I'm gonna have to look that up. Maybe I'll look it up and pop the actual name on the screen here. I have a little dwarf lemon tree, whatever it's called. I have a dwarf lemon tree that does fairly well. We take it in, of course, every winter because here our winters are too cold for it to survive. And I will say that it's 3 ripe-ish lemons. It's been working on those for like a year, and it doesn't seem to matter if we fertilize it or not. It just takes a while for it to mature. I actually really love this corner of the patio. Ironically, you can see where we're working on our siding that the inspector put his finger through. But I wanted something that kind of just brightened up this area and also hid the funky siding situation. So over here I put some dianthus that has bloomed continuously throughout the growing season. I did deadhead it several times, so I think that helped. I have some English lavender that I need to deadhead a little bit as well. Some verbena, some zinnia, and I actually just turned it because I wanted it to grow a little bit more on that side, but this is what it's been looking like. Some zinnia, and then some more English lavender up here in this little watering can. I just stuck a flowering pot in there and it looks great. This is our last section, and this is an island of misfit toys. So we have 2 sedums that I took out of the ground earlier this year because they were where we were removing a tree stump and they would have been damaged during that process. So I just took them out of the ground and stuck them in pots, and as you can see they are actually flowering and they're beautiful, and I'm really excited to see them flower. It's the first year that I've had them. We also have some Russian sage, denim and lace Russian sage, and I love this plant. I basically am a fan of anything that gives me a multi-sensory experience in the garden, something interesting to look at, something that smells good, something that's a pop of color, something that feels interesting, and this really checks off all of those boxes, so I will be getting more when we have the space to put them in. Behind that is a lavender, an English lavender again, and then we also have some liatris that I put in pots 2.5 or 3 years ago. I'm ashamed to say I was redoing some of the garden space at the time and decided I didn't want them there, and it was a temporary measure, and now they've been in there for far too long and they're struggling to survive. So I really want to get them in the ground next spring and hopefully have some of them survive. I took a moment to compose myself and let the sweat dry before filming this conclusion video, just to not make you run away in terror. I hope you enjoyed this video of our container garden tour on our patio. I really love all the plants on here. Most of them will be going in the ground in the spring, but I like the look so much that I might be getting more plants just to have on the patio as we move forward with the landscaping and things like that. I love watching everybody's garden tours on YouTube, but I also feel a little bit like I'm outside the norm maybe, and that I'm lacking because our house is in progress, our land is in progress, our garden is in progress, and everybody shows these beautiful finished pieces that I aspire to. But in the moment I always feel like, well gosh, why does everybody's garden have siding behind it? I realize I might be in the minority on that. If you're in the same boat though and you feel like sometimes you don't measure up, or sometimes your situation is lacking and it's not as pretty as what you might see online or on vlogs or blogs that you follow, just know that there are other people like you out there. There are people like me out there, and you know, everything's a work in progress, and we're always learning and we're always improving, and I hope you join us on this journey. If you do like this video, subscribe, leave a comment. I want to hear about how you have a funky container garden, or maybe you have a gorgeous container garden that I am aspiring to. Either way, leave a comment. Let me know. I want to hear from you. Have a good day. I'll see you next time.